Hopefully I can get everybody back. Anyways, hopefully you guys come over to this one. So this is an AA meeting. Unfortunately, I had to jump onto a different live stream. For some reason, my laptop, this Chromebook, did not want to do what I wanted it to do. So I'm back up. Hopefully, y'all find me over here. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties this morning. Hopefully you can hear me. Oh, man. Anyway, the Citizen AA meeting continued. Crazy morning. Anyways. I am on page 186 in the big book. Anyway, it's none of our business about your drinking. We're not up here trying to take any of your rights or privileges away from you. But we have a program whereby we think we can stay sober. Part of that program is that we take it to someone else who needs it and wants it. Now, if you don't want it, we'll not take up your time. And we'll be going and looking for someone else. Hi, Ava. The next thing they wanted to know was if I thought I could quit of my own accord without any help. If I could just walk out of the hospital and never take another drink. If I could, that was wonderful. That was just fine. And they would very much appreciate a person who had that kind of power. But they were looking for a man who knew he had a problem and knew he couldn't handle it himself and needed outside help. The next thing they wanted to know was if I believed in a higher power. I had no trouble there because I had never actually ceased to believe in a God and had tried lots of times to get help but hadn't succeeded. Next, they wanted to know would I be willing to go to the higher power and ask for help calmly and without any reservations. They left with this. They left this with me to think over. Hello again, Ava. And I lay there on the hospital bed and went back over and reviewed my life. I thought of what liquor had done to me, the opportunities that I had discarded, the abilities that had been given me, and how I had wasted them. And I finally came to the conclusion that if I didn't want to quit, I certainly ought to want to, and that I was willing to do anything in the world to stop drinking. I was willing to admit to myself that hit I had hit bottom, that I had gotten hold of something that I didn't know how to handle by myself. So after reviewing these things, I realized what liquor had cost me. I went to the higher power that to me was God without any reservations and admitted that I was completely powerless over alcohol and that I was willing to do anything in the world to get rid of the problem. In fact, I admitted that from then on, I was willing to let God take over instead of me. Each day I would try to find out what His will was and try to follow that, rather than trying to get Him to always agree that the things I thought up for myself were the things best for me. So when they came back, I told them. One of the fellows, I think it was Doc, said, I lost everybody over on the other line. Well, you want to quit? I said, yes, Doc. I would like to quit, at least for 5, 6, or 8 months until I get my wife and some other people back and I get my finances fixed up and so on. Why am I smelling vape in my house? Sorry. Until I get things straightened up and begin to get the respect of my wife and some other people back and get my finances fixed up and so on. And they both laughed very heartily and said, that's better than you've been doing, isn't it? Which, of course, was true. They said, we've got some bad news for you. It was bad news for us, and it will probably be bad news for you. Sorry. Whether you quit 6 days, months, or years, if you go out and take a drink or two, you'll end up in the hospital tied down. Well, that's my thought. I hate that when I lose my thought. just like you had been in these past 6 months. You are an alcoholic. As far as I know, that was the first time I had ever paid any attention to that word. I figured I was just a drunk. And they said, no, you have a disease and it doesn't make any difference how long you do without it. After a drink or two, you'll end up just like you are now. That certainly was real disheartening news at the time. The next question they asked was, You you can quit 24 hours, can't you? I said, Sure, yes, anybody can do that for 24 hours. They said, That's what we're talking about. Just 24 hours at a time. That sure did take a load off my mind. Every time I'd start thinking about drinking, I would think of the long, dry years ahead without having a drink. But this idea of 24 hours, that it was up to me from then on, was a lot of help. At this point, the editors intrude just long enough to supplement Bill D's account. That of the man on the bed with that of Bill W., the man who sat by the side of the bed, says Bill W. 19 years ago, last summer, Dr. Bob and I saw him, Bill D., for the first time. Bill lay on his hospital bed and looked at us in wonder. 2 days before this, Dr. Bob had said to me, if and if you and I are going to stay sober, we had better get busy straight away. Bob called Akron City Hospital and asked for the nurse on the receiving ward. He explained that he and a man from New York had a cure for alcoholism. Did she have an alcoholic customer on whom it could be tried? Knowing Bob of old, she jokingly replied, Well, doctor, I suppose you've already tried it yourself. Yes, she did have a customer, a dandy. He had just arrived in DT's. The black had blackened the eyes of two nurses, and now they had him strapped down tight. What this one do? After prescribing medicines, Dr. Bob ordered, Put him in a private room. We'll be down as soon as he clears up. Bill didn't seem too impressed, looking sadder than ever. He rarely ventured, Well, this is wonderful for you fellows, but it can't be for me. My case is so terrible that I'm scared to go out of this hospital at all. You don't have to sell me religion either. I was at one time a deacon in the church, and I still believe in God, but I guess he doesn't believe much in me. Then Dr. Bob said, Well, Bill, maybe you'll feel better tomorrow. Wouldn't you like to see us again? Sure, I would, replied Bill. Maybe it won't do any good, but I'd like to see you both. Anyhow, you certainly know what you are talking about. Looking in later, we found Bill with his wife, Henrietta. Eagerly he pointed to us, saying, "These are the fellows I told you about. They are the ones who understand." Bill then related how he had lain awake nearly all night, down in the pit of his depression. New hope had somehow been born. The thought flashed through his mind, "If they can do it, I can do it." Over and over he said this to himself. Finally, out of his hope, there burst conviction. Now he was sure. Then came a great joy. At strength, er, at length, peace stole over him, and he slept. Before our visit was over, Bill suddenly turned to his wife and said, "Go fetch my clothes, dear. We're going to get up and get out of here." Bill D walked out of that hospital a free man, never to drink again. AA's number one group dates from that very day. Bill D now continues his story. It was the next 2 or 3 days after I had first met Doc and Bill that I finally came to a decision to turn my will over to God and to go along with this program the best I could. Their talk and action had instilled in me a certain amount of confidence, although I was not too absolutely certain. I wasn't afraid that the program wouldn't work, but I still was doubtful whether I would be able to hang on to the program. But I did come to the conclusion that I was willing to put everything I had into it with God's power, and that I wanted to do just that. As soon as I had done that, I did feel a great relief. I knew that I had a helper whom I could rely upon, who wouldn't fail me. If I could stick to him and listen, I would make it. I remember when the boys came back, I told them, "I have gone to the higher power, and I have told him that I am willing to put his word first above everything. I've already done it, and I am willing to do it again here in the presence of you, or I am willing to say it any place, anywhere in the world from now on, and not be ashamed of it." And this certainly gave me a lot of confidence and seemed to take a lot of the burden off me. I remember telling them, too, that it was going to be awfully tough because I did some other things, smoked cigarettes and played penny ant poker and sometimes bet on the horse races. And they said, "Don't you think you're having more trouble with this drinking thing than with anything else at the present time? Don't you believe you are going to have all you can do to Get rid of that?" "Yes," I said reluctantly, "I probably will." They said, "Let's forget about those other things, that is, trying to eliminate them all at once, and concentrate on the drink." Of course, we had talked over quite a number of the failings that I had and made a sort of an inventory, which wasn't too difficult because I had an awful lot of things wrong that were very apparent to me. Then they said, "There is one other thing You should go out and take this program to somebody else who needs it and wants it. Of course, by this time, my business was practically non-existent. I didn't have any naturally for quite a time. I wasn't too well physically either. It took me a year and a half to get to feeling physically well, and it was rather tough. But I soon found folks whose friendship I had once had, and I found after I had been sober for quite some little time that these people began to act like they had in previous years before I had gotten so bad, so that I didn't pay too awful much attention to financial gains. I spent most of my time trying to get back these friendships and to make some recompense towards towards my wife, whom I had hurt a lot. It would be hard to estimate how much AA had done for me. I really wanted the program and I wanted to go along with it. Yeah, I smelt your vape. There ain't nobody else here to smoke. I would be hard to estimate how much AA has done for me. I really wanted the program and I wanted to go along with it. I noticed that the others seemed to have such a release, a happiness, a something that I thought a person might ought to have. I was trying to find the answer. I knew there was even more, something that I hadn't got. And I remember one day, a week or two after I had come out of the hospital, Bill was at my house talking to my wife and me. We were eating lunch and I was listening and trying to find out why they had that release or had this release that they seemed to have. Bill looked across at my wife and said to me, curing me of this terrible disease that I just wanted to keep talking about it and telling people. I thought, I think I have the answer. Bill was very, very grateful that he had been released from this terrible thing, and he's so grateful about it. He wants to tell other people about it. That sentence, the Lord has been so wonderful to me, curing me of this terrible disease that I just want to keep telling people about it, has been a sort of a golden text for the AA program and for me. Of course, as time went on, I began to get my health back and I began to be so I didn't have to hide from people all the time. It's just been wonderful. I still go to meetings because I like to go. I meet the people that I like to talk to. Another reason that I go is that I'm still grateful for the good years that I've had. I'm so grateful for both the program and the people in it, and I still want to go. And then, probably the most wonderful thing that I have learned from the program, I've seen this in the AA grapevine a lot of times. And I've had people say it to me personally, and I've heard people get up in meetings and say it, is this statement. I came into AA for the purpose of sobriety, but it has been through AA that I have found God. I feel that this is about that. That is about the most wonderful thing that that a person can do. That's what I found. With the group, I learned that there's more than just me. Before the group, I knew other people drank. I knew about AA, but I'd never gone to a meeting. Ow, got a cramp in my shoulder. Ow, that hurt. But having the meetings to go to has it helped a lot. I mean, it taught me my steps. It taught me things that work for me. It taught me to use my voice. I use it here. I use it everywhere. Um, Being able to tell other people that there is sobriety, that you can have a fulfilling life of sobriety. It's been worth it, and I remember every day since I became sober to share it, share the message of AA, share the work that I have been taught, and share how this experience has changed me and my life and brought peace to me and my family. Um, I did go back out after I was sober for a year before I ever found AA. But I I found AA because of a friend, and I thank that friend a lot. Um, but yeah, AA has done so much for me and family members and friends. I think my dog had an accident in the house. Well, I probably got a mess to clean. Anyways, but yeah, so sorry about the split meeting, but for some reason I just went, my line went gone and I didn't realize it. So, but let's go ahead and say the Serenity Prayer and let you guys have the rest of your day. And I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Please go and check out Ava Potterfield and Friends tomorrow morning. Um, I believe tomorrow is the pumpkin challenge. Anyways, so I love you guys. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Keep coming back. It works if you work it.